Having roommates can be a complete drag or can really catapult you into financial independence. It really depends on who you choose. And in my 5 years of doing this, I have had 3 specific roommates that I absolutely regret having. I've had to kick one out. It was just a complete mess from beginning to the end. I'm going to go over these 3 roommates I regret having and tell you a story about how I had to evict somebody. So without further ado, let's dive in. All right, first story is this guy seemed very good from the beginning. He was an enjoyable guy. We had really good mutual interest. We were talking about, what's happening in the world. Lots of very, very mutual interests and similar beliefs about the world. So I thought to myself, that's pretty good. He was a little older, and whenever I've had older roommates, they seem to pay like clockwork, and I've never had an issue with someone over the age of 45. Now, this is where I started compromising because I wanted to rent the room out and I was desperate for the money. He had no job and was collecting some type of payment from the government every single month. Now, there's nothing. I don't have any judgment against people who take money from the government. I really don't. Some people really do need it. This guy really didn't need it though, and that was the problem. He could have worked. He wasn't disabled in any way, but he was at home with no job, watching news television literally 24/7. And I'm all about talking about, issues happening in the world, what's happening with the government, this, that, and the other, laws, politics, all these things that are contentious issues. I'm fine with having a conversation. A lot of times I don't know everything. Not a lot of times. I don't know everything, period. And I can learn from other people's perspectives, whether they're on the right, left, middle, super right, super left. Everyone has something valuable that they can add to the conversation. But oh my goodness, it was politics 100% of the time, what the president is doing, what's happening, stress, bombing, shooting, all these things that I don't really stay up to date on. I don't stay up to date on the most recent shooting and all these things. Yeah, call me, blindfold, being willfully blind, but I just don't need that extra stress in my life. I have too many things happening in these 4 walls to worry about and within me that I don't need to worry about what's happening across the world or across the state. I do stay updated. That doesn't mean I'm completely ignorant, but the politics and the news 24/7 really started dragging me down mentally, and I can tell this guy was definitely being dragged down mentally. And then, to top it on off, nearing the end of our agreement to rent, he said, oh yeah, by the way, I'm not going to make the rent payment anymore. And his exact words were, because I don't have to make it. Our contract doesn't say that. And I thought to myself, oh boy. We're gonna die like this. Thankfully, it ended up working out in the end. I didn't have to evict him, but man, that was a very stressful situation. So if you find someone who has no job, oh my goodness, do your best to avoid that. They need to be able to go outside the house. People who stay in the house 24/7. This guy literally stayed at home for years watching TV. So everything he knew about the world came from a television screen, not from people around, people in the community, local people who actually are living life. So if they have no job and are just collecting the government dole, they may not be a good situation. All right, second one, and this one was 100% my fault. I didn't ask good questions. And I've realized the better questions I ask, the higher my standards go, the better my roommate and my tenant is. The people who have passed the high standard test pay on time every single month and don't give me any grief, literally ever. The check is waiting for me on my desk every single month. That's the kind of tenant that I want you to have, definitely. I ask about 24 questions whenever I do phone screening. So if you want the script that I use when phone screening, make sure to go to the link in the description. I will send it over to you right now. All right, so back to that. I was asking terrible questions, and I realized that this guy, income was there, really enjoyable guy, but guess what? He was only here for 1 month. Literally, he moved in, and a couple days later, he gave me his 30-day notice. He was only going to stay there for a very, very short time. Now, it ended up working out because I ended up finding somebody. But if you can find someone who's going to pay on time, be an enjoyable person, be cordial, and stay there for a decent amount of time, that means you don't have to do the whole churning and finding a new person. Because that's what takes the most time, effort, and money. It's having to repaint the walls, having to interview a bunch of people. I remember my first time I ever put a roommate advertisement up, I had to talk to 25 people in one day. It was a very, very, very hectic and stressful day. Although I do month-to-month leases, I always ask, if everything works out, how long do you think you plan on staying? And a lot of times they'll be honest. They'll say, I'm here for 6 months. I'm here for a year, maybe even longer term. You want to make sure you get that out of them, because if they're going to be there for 1 month, they may not take care of the place as much as someone who's going to be there for months or even years. All right, and then the last story, oh boy, this was the one I had to evict. Let's just say, often after a few months, things are always good in the beginning, right? It's like anything new. Anything's new, fresh, it's exciting, it works out well. After several months, this guy began to start abusing alcohol again, although he was so clean and sober. He unfortunately started using alcohol again. He would be singing loud AC/DC and Van Halen tracks at midnight, and he was completely drunk. Not fun for anybody besides him. Eventually, he started having beef with one of my other roommates, and it almost went to a fist fight, which I had to literally stop the altercation physically and put each of them in their room. Not fun at all. And again, this is what happens. When I lower my standards, these things happen. It was a referral from a family member. He seemed like a good guy, but I should have asked the questions that were important. And again, at home, on the government dole, collecting money every single month and not working. This guy had not worked in over 20 years. Now imagine for a second, if I were to put you in the year 2000 and you stopped going outside, you literally stayed home and watched television. I mean, like stupid stuff like Judge Judy. Nothing against our judge, but watching, reality television all day, every day. Imagine it's the year 2000 and you don't go outside, you just go to the grocery store, you talk to people here and there, but you're not actually working in society and being a productive member. All right, it's 2020. Bam. You come into the working world. Wouldn't you say between 2000 and 2020, there's been some significant changes in our world, culture, country, everything? Yeah, that's pretty much what this guy was. He was a blast from the past. He was talking about things that I didn't even know existed because he's been out of the workforce for so long. So again, you want to find people who are working and go out of the house on a daily basis. We as humans need community. We need one another. When we're alone, we start becoming lone wolves, and the lone wolves are not a good thing. Even if you think you can survive as a lone wolf, it's so much better to have gratifying and satisfying relationships, whether you're a dude, whether you're a woman, doesn't matter who it is. Having those relationships are what life is all about. So 2 of these had no job. 1, I didn't ask the right question, so he moved out really quickly. What you want to do is ask right questions. Again, I have a couple dozen questions I ask. Go to the link in the description. I will send you those questions because if you ask bad questions, bad things happen. How does the phrase go? It says, do dumb things, get dumb results. Yeah. Ask dumb questions or don't ask the right questions and you will get a bad result. Those are my 3 roommate stories. Oh boy, I regret having them. And you know what's really great though? Years later, I've had only ideal roommates, and all 3 of those were in the first year or 2 of me doing this. So I've had about 3 years now of very, very good roommates. And that's again because I ask better questions off the onset. If you start something really good, it's kind of like anything that you start. If you put a foundation down, a concrete foundation, and begin to build, you're far better than just building the house without the foundation. You want to have that concrete slab foundation down before you do anything. And that's what these questions are. So go to the link in the description, and I will send those questions over to you right now. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Those are my 3 roommates I regret having. Thankfully, I haven't had any regretful roommates recently, but who knows? Things can change in a jiffy, that's for sure. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye for now.